boys and girls. Over here at Munsey Park School, Mr. Nolan and I miss you very, very much. Our own teachers, our entire staff misses seeing your faces and all that we have to offer you on a daily basis. We certainly hope you're enjoying time with family in the remote learning environment. And today we're going to have some opportunity to share with you some tips to make the remote learning experience the best it could possibly be.
So Mr. Altman and I have created this video to go over some of the tips, the do's and do nots about being ready for a Zoom session with your teachers. So here we go.
Zoom is just like school. Make sure you dress appropriately.
I'm just about to get started with a Zoom session with my classmates and my teacher. It is so very important that we are dressed appropriately, the way we would be dressed in school. Because while we're at home, we're going to avoid wearing pajamas or costumes or attire that really wouldn't be something that we'd wear to regular school in a school building. Because remember, once again, a Zoom session is school, just in a different place. And so we want to avoid any distractions that would get our classmates to maybe giggle or be silly. This is school and we want to make sure we act the part and, of course, dress the part. Looking forward to seeing you in a Zoom session.
Be prepared. Make sure your device is ready to go.
So before I begin my virtual session, I want to make sure that my device is ready, it's fully charged up, and I'm ready to begin to log into my Zoom session with my teacher.
Get to your sessions early. Try signing in 5 minutes before.
For every Zoom session, it's really important that we remain focused and ready to learn. Before starting a Zoom session, we want to be in the waiting room a good 5 minutes before the session is set to begin. That allows our classroom teacher to let children in appropriately and make sure their Zoom session can start on time and, of course, end on time. When in our Zoom sessions, we're focused just as we would be in regular school during the school day. Zoom sessions are no replacement for school. It is school, and it's very important that our behavior reminds us that we are still in a school session. And that means we're focused, we're on our lesson, looking at the teacher's comments, and paying attention to the keyboard, the computer, and avoiding any distractions. Looking forward to seeing you in your Zoom session soon, remaining focused and on task.
Pick a quiet spot to sit for your Zoom. Keep the background the same. Changing your background could be distracting.
Another important thing to do when you're on your Zoom session with your teacher learning is to make sure that you leave the virtual background alone. Changing the virtual background while the class is in session is very distracting. So we're going to leave that background alone, and we're going to make sure that the teacher can see you. So leave your video on, just like you would be sitting in the classroom. Leave your video on so your teacher can see you.
You're a beautiful pearl. Live your day like you mean it. And don't forget who you are.
Set your display name to your first and last name.
Girls, some last very important tips for using Zoom. Before you go into the Zoom room, you want to make sure that your name is listed so the teacher knows exactly who you are. You want to make sure that
Enter the Zoom room with your microphone on mute.
During all Zoom sessions, you have the opportunity at times to unmute yourself to be able to talk. When entering the room for any Zoom session, you should be on mute. It is never okay to unmute yourself and share a response until you're prompted. The Zoom session, just like in school, allows for everyone to take part and learn, and all children to enjoy and be part of the educational process. You wouldn't want to speak to interrupt the teacher or other classmates during a Zoom session. So let's leave that microphone alone unless prompted to unmute.
Raise your hand to speak.
You should be on mute. You should raise your hand virtually or enter in the chat session appropriate comments such as you'd like to participate. And that can allow for the teacher to let you know when it's safe to unmute and share your response.
Use the chat to ask questions or for additional help.
when you're in a Zoom session with your teacher, boys and girls, you're going to have an opportunity to use the chat feature. But when we're using the chat feature, we're only using it to ask a question. I'd like you to refrain from doing anything inappropriate, like typing words that don't belong there, and even having chats with your friends. because that could be distracting to the other boys and girls that are in the room. So again, use the chat room, the chat feature on your Zoom only to ask questions to the teacher.
For Zoom, you need your device and maybe a paper and pencil. Please no snacks, toys, siblings, or pets in the Zoom session.
Unmuted. You want to have a pencil and paper ready just in case. And you also want to make sure that when you're Zooming, like Mr. Altman said, you want to Zoom in a proper place. We don't want to do Zoom in a car, or we don't want to even do Zooms outside, because that can be distracting to the other boys and girls in the Zoom. We want to make sure that we refrain from eating, so no snacks or food when the teacher is teaching. And we also don't want to have any toys present. We just want it to be you and the student and your classmates. And lastly, as Mr. Altman said, please don't take pictures or record the Zoom meeting with your teacher. This is a very uncharted times for all of us, and we look forward to partnering with you to make this the very best experience. On behalf of Mr. Altman and myself, we hope to see you real soon, and we wish you well.
Live your day like you mean it.